Hi guys, I'm Pastor Dave with Hope Chapel Westside, and we're in our Bible video commentary in the book of Matthew. We're going to look at chapter 24, we're in verse 15 this morning, and let's go ahead and just get right into it. So when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel standing in the holy place, let the reader understand, let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let the one who is on the housetop not go down to take what is in his house. And let not the one who is in the field turn back to take his cloak. And last, for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infants in those days, pray that your flight may not be in winter or on the Sabbath. For then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now. No, and never will be. And if those days had not been cut short, no human being would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. Then, if anyone says to you, look, here he is, the Christ, or there he is, do not believe it, for false Christ and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you beforehand, so if they say to you, look, he is in the wilderness, do not go out. If they say, look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines as far as the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever the corpse is, there the vultures will gather. And so he talks about the abomination of desolation. And what that is when you go into the book of Revelations, you kind of see this. It's spoken of by the prophet Daniel. It has not happened yet because it is still to happen. Some people that have the preterist view believe all these prophecies have already been fulfilled. They might point to Antiochus Epiphanes or Antiochus so forth, who it was during the time, I believe, of the Maccabean revolt that he actually sacrificed a pig on the altar, and so like he desecrated or desolated the altar. Now that might be a foreshadowing, but many conquering nations, the Greeks, the Romans, have done things that to kind of desecrate. And so we don't look at that as a fulfillment, because also Jesus is saying, hey, this is yet to happen, which means it hasn't already happened. And Jerusalem was destroyed in 70 AD, so how could this possibly even happen until there is a temple that is rebuilt and there is a Holy of Holies that is rebuilt? And so this is why we believe that the temple will be rebuilt in the last days. And there's a lot you can look at. That is what eventually will happen. Now, this abomination of desolation, it will be, if you look in the book of Revelation, this is the Antichrist. And again, this is a futurist view, which is the most literal view, even though there's a lot of symbolism in Revelation. If you take a quite literal view, you have a real Antichrist, a real leader, a world leader who is possessed by the devil. He brings all nations to him. He makes a covenant for 7 years. In the middle of the 7 years, he does what's called the abomination of desolation. He desecrates the altar, sets up an image of himself, and then he demands to be worshipped. And so you can read that more in Revelation, and especially in Revelation 13, he kind of gets more into that. And then, of course, really leading up to this time, you see a lot of false Christ. Scary thing is you see these people able to do supposed miracles, right? Counterfeit miracles. And so it's not that the devil cannot do supernatural things. Definitely. He is not God. He is not as powerful as God. But he definitely leads people astray. And so we want to be careful. Just because we see something that might seem to be a miracle doesn't necessarily mean that it's totally from God or it's totally from a good source. So we have to be really careful of that. moving on to verse 29, he says, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven will be shaken. Then will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And so this is Christ. This isn't the rapture of the church per se. This is the parousia, or the second coming of Jesus Christ. That is his return to the earth for the final battle, Armageddon. He establishes what is the millennial kingdom, a 1,000-year reign on earth. But he is coming to mete out judgment against those. Those that are weeping and mourning are those that were fighting against him. They thought they were on the winning side, and obviously they were not. They were on the losing side, so that's why they're mourning. And so, again, to really get into the study, you want to combine it with the study of the book of Revelations and also the book of Daniel. There is a lot to look at. And here we have the lesson of the fig tree. From the fig tree, learn this lesson: as soon as its branch becomes tender and puts out its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also when you see all these things, you know that he is near at the very gates. Truly, I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. And so what is being said here is that when you see these things happening, he says this generation will pass away. In other words, that generation that sees those events. He's not talking, of course, of his present time, but way into the future. But for us, it could be very close. We see a lot of things happening right now. We have China on one side. We have Russia on the other side. We have them threatening nuclear war. We have all kinds of things that seem to be coming to a head. But again, you never know. You never can tell with history. Sometimes there's a big shift. There's a change. And it could be a number of years before the Lord returns, or it could be today. It could be tomorrow. So there's no need to be anxious, but to put our trust in God, because he's going to come at just the right time. And that's kind of what alludes to here in 36. But concerning that day or hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven nor the Son, but the Father only. For as were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day when Noah entered the ark, and they were unaware until the flood came and swept them all away. So will be the coming of the Son of Man. Then 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken, one left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken, one left. Therefore stay awake, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known at what part of the night the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake house and not have let his house be broken into. Therefore you must always be ready, for the Son of Man is coming in an hour you do not expect. And so now some might be tempted to look at this, is that the rapture? And actually most theologians look at this as the judgment. So the one that's taken away is taken away into judgment. And so you will see this is the gathering by the angels at the end of the age, that they take all who do evil, all who sin, all who are against God, and there's a judgment, right? And so it says like all these people, they disappear. The other view is, oh no, he's talking about the rapture of the church. And so you really kind of have to do your own study on that. Jesus doesn't get into a lot of detail, and again, you have to study Matthew in the context of Matthew, and then you have to look at Revelation in the context of Revelation. but it is a big study. If you want to look at John Walvoord's books on Daniel and Revelation, I would highly recommend his commentaries. I think he gives you a lot of good insight. And that's all the time we have today. If this is helpful for you, go ahead and click the subscribe button or go to Hope Chapel Westside in your app store and download our app for our library teachings. God bless and have a great day.